So Matt, we were talking earlier about the challenges of electric vehicle manufacturing, and I thought it'd be interesting with your experience because with your long career, you handled both the manufacturing of traditional vehicles right up to the latest model of today's electric vehicles and what you've seen in the evolution of that manufacturing.
Right. Well, I think that's, thanks, Gene, by the way. First, I think that's twofold, right? So it's a blend of having your powertrain in your plant as opposed to having a separate powertrain at the big five. So you're now responsible for building that powertrain up, getting the batteries into modules, into packs, and then into the vehicle. And then you have the weight issue, right? A traditional powertrain may run you 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. You get a battery pack, depending on the size, kilowatts, you now have 2,500 pounds. So now you have to come up with ingenious ways to take the weight out of the vehicle to make sure that you can still get your GVW in there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different dynamics that kind of mesh together. And then you have that high volume of kicking batteries out at a rapid pace, mixed in with your traditional high value manufacturing of vehicles, right? So very, very rare would you go to a big three plant and be building a 15 jobs an hour vehicle right next to on the same line, a high volume, say 70 job per hour vehicle. So if you're in an EV company, you got to be able to do both. You got to be multifaceted and focus on quite a few things versus one or the other.
So that's one of the new challenges, a high volume, low volume disparity, right, side by side. Another one I was talking about how I read last month that at Ford, at one of their electric vehicle battery workshops, are putting in a private 5G network because of all the issues around wireless connectivity in an industrial setting. You wouldn't have thought of that years ago, that would be an issue, but it is today.
No, back in the day, you plug in your ALD connector underneath the dashboard, it download the cal file for the engine, everything would get calibrated, you go and get it tested, and off you go. Now, and it's not just an EV challenge, I think it's an industry challenge because customers want connected vehicles.
Sure.
They want vehicles that can almost drive themselves or within reason. So you have that OTA, which is over the air, and you're broadcasting all of these files and all this software into the vehicle. And oh, by the way, there's vehicles in front and behind it, so you need a very large bandwidth to be able to do that, depending on your line rate. And then you want to make sure that it works, because when the customer gets the vehicle out into their industry or out of the industry into their driveways, you're going to download all of your patches and all of your updates over the air as well. So it's a good test of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then why Ford is going forward with something like that. So you've handled numerous launches through your career in both internal combustion engine vehicles and electric vehicles. What are the challenges today in launching an EV versus the ICE vehicles?
I would think one of the main challenges is just getting everybody on the same page and deciding whether you're doing the bottoms up, involving everybody from the start, or a top down. Either way works. Traditionally, if you're launching a vehicle, let's say a Ford, a GM, or Mercedes, BMW, you've got an existing plant that's already been trained.
Right.
A lot of the EVs are going to a brownfield, transitioning in it into what they needed to do is to a greenfield or building a plant all from scratch, which means they don't have existing talent there. So then your training programs, how you want to do it. Do you want to be lean bottoms up, engage all those people, have them all, taking ownership, or do you want to do the top down because you're trying to launch it at a record pace?
Sure.
And sometimes it makes better sense to just say, here's what I want you to do, Mr. Employee. You focus on this and let the rest of the organization get everything else in order. And we want, when we want to change, we have you change. But for right now, you just focus on this part of your standardized work. So it all depends on what the business model is, what the management teams decided they want to do, and is everybody together. At the end of the day, you're spending billions of dollars launching a car, but it still is a people business when you're talking about 1, 2, Tesla's got to have 10,000 workers in that factory.
Right.
That is a people business. It's a mini city. So getting all those people together on the right cadence within reason of getting them understanding what all the goals are is a significant challenge.
Yeah, that and the where we are today in society with the attitudinal shift, where
Yes.
20, 30, 40 years ago, people went into an assembly plant, they put their head down and worked, and now there needs to be more of that communication style you're alluding to, so that everybody's on the same page.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants to do a good job. In the traditional way 30 years ago, nobody wanted them to be involved in anything until Toyota came along, copying the Ford production system really into the Toyota production system, and then saying, hey, we got 30,000 people at our plants and they're touching these parts, and they quickly become better experts than the engineers that design the parts because they're interfacing them together and they're making the vehicle into a vehicle, and they probably know a lot more than we think. Let's engage that. Let's use that. And then they get more self-fulfillment in addition to their wage rate. And it becomes a much better place for them to work because they know they've got a say in their job. Everybody wants a say in their job, right?
Yeah.
But you can't satisfy 4,000 people by letting them all do what they want.
No.
You still got to have some semblance of discipline.
Put the vision together. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you've handled numerous important launches in your career, so I really appreciate the perspective you bring to this conversation. So thanks, man.
Thanks, Gene. I appreciate it. Thank you.